Welcome back to Birds with Feather, CoEd edition. It's your girl AJ, the Suburban Princess here. So excited to talk about NFC Conference Championship. Welcome, my CoEd Eddie B. What's up?
What's up, AJ? I'm happy too, because you know what? I can't wait till Sunday. But I actually, part of me can wait because I was like, I don't want the weekend to go that fast.
There's the
'Cause I'm
torture
like,
of,
yeah, because if
you
it goes that fast, next back to work. I told my boss today, joking around. I was like, the Eagles win. I'm calling out Monday.
don't be shocked though, because you don't know how many people already, and they did this last year or 22 when they went to the Super Bowl. Everybody had that little Instagram. This is my excuse for not turning into work thing. That went around like viral. So
Hmm.
don't think that everybody's already thought about it. Because
Oh
even if they
yeah.
do go to work, they're just going to be late or they're going to be very ineffective
Well,
on
I'm
what
gonna
they
be
won't.
very unproductive that day. So if it happens, so
All right. So I'm excited. I titled this episode One More Win because
one
they
more,
only need one more
one more
because
game.
that one more again because they showed that somebody had rotated that footage of the NFC Championship game before they went to the Super Bowl 2 years
Yeah,
ago. So and seeing Hurts on the sideline just going one more, I was like, I expect to see the same one more.
I
And
love
then
Sirianni's speech. He's like, "We got business. We got still got some business left. Let's go." I was like,
what's the sayings? We still got meat on the bone. We still got loose ends. There's all the cliche sayings. This is exactly applies because God forbid if it does happen to be them and the Chiefs again, that is just God's way of saying you need to finish what you started.
hmm
Because if it ends up being the Bills, that would be cool, but it's a new opponent. Well, God, I have never wanted Josh Allen to surprise the world more than ever this year. Like he cannot get past this hump because they always manage to work from homes. But now that that's being more exposed in the media, I don't know,
I,
man. Some refs
I
may
see all,
decide to stop giving him some gimmies because it's becoming obvious.
yeah, I see all these memes about people saying what the nation is rooting for, and it was like all red and like one little spot of green. Because
Yeah,
I'm like, it's like just because it was like, what, they tired of us winning, they tired of us being good, so they don't want us to be good, huh?
I just think it's just not cool to look at our city like that. I think they just always want to look at Philly as a certain light. And so when we kind of smash that narrative, it's confusing because we're like,
Mhm.
Philly doesn't seem like a really winning city, but we're the sports town. Like outside of Buffalo Bills, I'm sorry, the Eagles nation is by far the nuttiest on the East Coast. So and the most loyal. As much as we complain about every damn win or loss, um, I feel like our fan base has proven that we travel well and we're
Oh
dedicated no
yeah,
matter
we'll
how
take
much
we
we
will
hate or love the quarterback.
we will take over your city in a heartbeat.
I mean, have you seen the post from the Philadelphia Eagles account where there's fans in Japan, there's fans in
Mm.
Bahamas and Nassau? They pulled up a flag on the island. I was just like, it's spreading. It's a disease,
I'm glad.
and
I'm glad to
it's
see that. I'm tired
me
of
too.
people being all cowboy fans everywhere.
Yeah. Well,
Like,
you feel that tide turning. You feel that most people, and even before Detroit even lost, I think a lot of people really wanted to kind of put the Detroit Lions as America's team because they were like coming from nowhere and
yeah,
making so much progress. And until they got they got burned by the Commanders, now it's like
hmm
now might be leaning towards the Commanders. There seems to be a lot of lean towards the Commanders now that made such an impressive showing with this rookie. But I think that shit ends this Sunday.
that
In my
shit's
opinion,
over. That shit's
it's
over.
over. Jaden got many years to get better and get back, but it ain't this year.
Well,
We got
I just
business.
pray that he doesn't go the route of RG3. I hope that he is coached better
Yeah,
and he's able to adjust his game because now people are gonna know he's not gonna be much. He's not gonna be a surprise next year.
he's not. Once they get you on film, just like with Jalen, they figured out Jalen's sneaky
Yeah,
attacks. So
they figure you out. So I
they
mean,
figure
it's
you out. So he should enjoy all the prosperity up until Sunday at 3 o'clock. I have no mercy. All right, so just rewinding real quickly. We didn't get to discuss it, but last week's game against the Rams ended up being a snow fest, which pretty much was predicted. Um, I
hmm
had I had a little PTSD from when I worked there in 2013. I was like, yeah, here comes the snow. And then don't let Saquon break off that run in the snow. I was like, yeah, it's like shiny. I was like, oh my God, everything's repeating.
Yeah,
So
Yeah, he ran so fast. Like, there
so
was nobody. Once he got past the one guy, diving guy, trying to get him, that was it. He was gone.
did you watch the mic'd up of the game? I just watched it last night, and
No, I didn't. I get a chance to yet.
it's really good.
I love the fact you see Jalen like this.
Yeah, before he even after he broke the first tackle, he
So,
was just
so he
like,
broke the first tackle. Jalen was like,
and of course they got to ask him in the presser, like, "How did you know? What do you think? Because I can
"What
look.
do you think?"
I
Once
have
he beat,
eyes."
once he beat that first guy, there was nobody catching
There was
him.
nobody there. Yeah, there was nobody on
Yeah,
his side. So
and nobody. He's not going to get run down from behind. He's not a Jai.
yeah.
It's not happening.
Shout
You
out
know,
because
like,
that was the most exciting thing about the Super Bowl year that year was that they decided to throw in a giant out of nowhere. And even though he ran fast, he didn't run fast enough.
I mean,
He
those
wasn't
other guys
quite a
were
home
just
run hit
faster.
runner, but he wasn't afraid of a tackle, that's for sure.
I mean,
Um,
I love the I love his let's say his first run that he had, Saquon's
yeah,
first run,
yeah,
and I do love the fact that our boy opened it up
yes,
with the first with a 44 yards run,
it was
QB
very
TD
impressive.
run. You know,
Yes.
like and he broke tackles to do it. So
It's,
yeah,
it's even more impressive when you break the tackles and then still keep running. Like that's even more impressive than having nobody in your face. You know what I mean? Because it's
yeah.
like he could stay on his feet, he could keep his feet moving.
Well, that O line just punished the O line punished that front eight, that front seven. They just and then they got to a point where it was like that first run by Saquon when he took off, he even turned around and waited for Jaron
He
Verse.
did. He teased him. He just like,
I
"Oh,
was,
are you coming? Never mind."
yeah, right. And I was
He
like,
baited him for two
yo.
seconds, and then Jared was like, "Get on, man."
Well, you know what? If Jared Verse wasn't talking all his smack, I don't think
He
he would have
was,
did
yeah.
that. But that was kind of I actually enjoyed that. I thought it was petty, and sometimes I enjoy the pettiness of it.
There's
Like it
nothing
was
wrong with
great.
being petty when somebody's coming at you because this team doesn't
Yeah,
talk smack first. So if they talk smack, that means
no, and give
that's
it back to him. Yeah.
you're gonna get it back because first of all, there's many reasons why this team can really talk their smack if they really wanted to, but they have no interest in it because they're trying to stay focused, and that's what you're supposed to do. I think when the opponent is that worried, they start doing that stuff early. Like this coach, this Joe Wilt guy talking to smack about how Jalen technically is a runner to him, so they're gonna tackle
Well,
him.
guess what? So is your boy.
I'm just saying. So yeah, eye for an eye. So just be careful putting that energy out because
Yeah,
Daniels
and the Eagle
is a lot thinner than Hurts, so he could
and
probably run you half
and the
fast enough.
Eagles defense is way more physical than the
I mean,
Commanders defense.
you get Jalen Carter and Bowen accidentally possibly breaking him in half. That's not going to be fun for your team.
Yeah,
So let's just be careful because we here trying to rein Jalen Carter in because he almost killed Stafford again and ran over him. You
yeah.
know,
When he picked him up,
yes,
he just was like bear hug, like just like
yes. And you could
sitting
tell
there
because I
holding
think
him
it was
up.
Collinsworth was laughing. He's like he picked up Stafford.
You got a grown ass man with his feet kicking and dangling in the air, kicking.
Yes. And they showed his college game where he picked up Daniels when he was at LSU. So he does it. That's just what he does. So I
Hmm.
expect Daniels to be picked up at least once or twice this game because he's going to remember that. They pulled that old college footage and I was like, oh Lord. I said the fact that he even grabbed Daniels again and then he did it to Stafford. So and Stafford went to Georgia. So I'm at this point where I'm like, any means necessary, just get her done, get him out the way. I don't wish harm on any team, obviously. It's not
No,
that deep
no.
to me, but I'm just saying, don't have any of your coordinators. You don't hear Vic Fangio making any kind of veiled threats to anybody on that team. So for you to even say that we're going for Jalen regardless, I just hope Louvu gets hurt. That's the only reason why, only person I want to get hurt this time, just because of what happened with Hurts last time. I don't necessarily agree that I went back and saw it as a dirty hit, but I do think the
Mm,
angle was wrong. And I just think it's one of those situations where if you watch this recent mic'd up, the one guy said to Jalen, "You need to stop running." He said, he's like, don't." He's like, "You ask, you get what you pay for, or you, or
yeah.
say you get your wish, or something like that." Like Jason Lee Hurts says, "Don't push it, like because I will run if you keep pushing me." So regardless of his bum
He's
knee,
like, I ain't killer, but don't push me.
right?
That's pretty much he said.
Don't push me because I'm close to the edge. Like
Yeah.
people make it seem like Jay. I know everybody wants to think that Jalen's leg is about to fall off, but I look at it this way: adrenaline is a mofo. So if he feels like he
Hmm.
finds a lane, I don't think he'll care if his leg literally drags him through. He's going to make a way to run. And even when he broke that first run for the Rams game in the opening sequence,
Yeah.
I didn't even think he was that fast because they
No,
kind
it
of
looked
slowed him down,
he
but he
looked
got
like
away.
he looked like he was running in slow motion, to be
He
honest
looked
with
like he was running slow motion. And then when they tried to drag him and threw him off, I think he only picked up speed once he broke that, once he shook that guy off. But
you.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's not a fast runner, but don't get him in open space because suddenly he will have speed. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's not going to be like Jaden Daniels because Jaden Daniels is skinny. So on top of that, he can slide in between tackles and then
Hmm.
throw accurately. So yes, when it comes to Jalen, I know people could love to make this Hurts Daniel companion in terms of accuracy and passing stuff, but that's a great advantage for Daniels. But when it comes right down to it, Hurts is a multi-talented quarterback.
Oh
He's
yeah.
not limited to the pocket. He's not limited to running. He can find ways to get that ball out of his hands when his vision is right. If his vision isn't right, then he's probably going to take a sack. So I don't expect like 5 sacks like this game.
No, no, no. I mean that had a lot to do
Two of
with it.
those sacks were because he was hurt.
Yeah. I mean he couldn't move and he didn't have much of a couldn't really do anything at that point. But hey, look, he figures out how to get us a dub, so I'm not complaining about anything he does right now.
At
You
this
know?
point, I'm with what Mailata said in his presser. He's like, I can give a
Win.
F about anybody
Yeah.
outside of
He's
this
a
building.
he said excuse I love how he was like, excuse me,
He's like, excuse me for my language, but I don't give
but
an
I
F
don't give
about
a fuck.
anybody. I said, I'm with you, Mailata. He's like, at this point, I'm tired of y'all talking about my quarterback. Like he ain't never
Hmm.
been back here before. Like, let's cut him some slack. Like 3 years
Yeah.
in a row, we've been to the playoffs. Like this is not new. Like people forget they've been here before. So injured or not, let's just keep it real. This is what makes the playoffs the playoffs. Stafford was playing
Hmm.
with 3 broken ribs. You ain't hear nobody catering to his butt. I
Yeah.
mean, he got rolled over several times, but he was still playing like nobody knew he
Yeah.
had
I
broken
mean,
ribs.
we know Stafford. Like Stafford's a G. I mean, I like Stafford. He's actually he's always been one of my favorite quarterbacks.
I
So
agree. I respect the fact that he's always so accurate. A lot of the stuff when you realize in that last quarter, which is where my gummy started to wear off, because the last minute and a half almost gave me a coronary. That was the first time I actually felt like I could not. I had to stand. Like that's how nervous I got because of the way after that defense kind of let up, and I was just like, what's happening?
yeah. And
I
then
was
Carter,
like, my
then
gummies wore off.
then that one drive, Carter took over. I mean,
Yeah, he had
he
to,
sacked him, then he hurried him because he was the reason why he dude that last pass was off because he got in his face.
and that's right, right, and that's
Yeah.
what they
So I
say on the
mean,
mic'd up. That's why when you watch it, you'll see all that how that plays out because they were like, Zach Bowen tells him he's like, you're the reason we won this game, man. And I like that. And a lot of the stuff on the sidelines you see, there's a lot of Zach Bowen in this mic'd up because it's supposedly supposed to be Hurts' mic'd up, but Hurts don't talk a lot. So the only time you heard Hurts talk the most shit was toward the end after his injury and then on the sidelines when Saquon did that run. And that's the only time you heard him giggle and then start saying, hey man, everything in
well, kind of.
between, he doesn't say anything. Like you don't
I
hear
mean,
him for mic'd up. It's supposed to be his mic'd up. He barely talks until like the middle.
yeah,
So
Mr. Emotionless there. I mean, he
he's
it's so
focused.
funny. I actually see him smile in the last and then one at the end of the meeting. They had the meeting on the field. You see him smiling. I was like, oh, look at Jalen's actually smiling right now.
He had well, you I don't know if you heard me because I had called into next best show ever this early this week because I said everybody's complaining about Hertz doesn't smile. Hertz was smiling from the minute they walked into the game to
Yeah,
the
he
press
was. Yeah.
conference. So everybody's talking about he's so serious. I don't know what changed, but he got the giggles lately, and I think it's because he knows that this team is starting to make sense. Is really
Hmm.
starting to make sense and gel. Injury or not, I don't think he's going to be thinking about his knee. Um,
Yeah.
it's something for him to
I didn't hear
talk
you on there
about.
this week. I heard you last week though.
I called twice. I was bored.
Yeah,
This
I
job
heard you
search
last
is a
week.
pain in the ass.
'Cause remember I called you and I was like, yo,
Yeah,
like I
yeah.
knew that was you on there.
You called me, and then on top of that, my meditation group that I meet with sometimes for my old job, they actually said, "Did I hear you one time when I was in the car, and then you called another day?" I said, "Yes, I did." I said it was one of those weeks I was bored. I just had a lot on my mind. But I mean, my whole point of calling in, besides the fact I was teasing because I was telling Tyrone, I'm like, what Jalen was wearing just kind of gave me a throwback of the '90s like cross colors because it was like that color block type of scheme, and I was
Uh,
like, he just screams a '90s R&B like guy, like a member of Guy. Tyron was laughing because he knew what I meant. I was like, he's a throwback from the '90s. Like, I don't know how many people who aren't even fans always say the same thing about her. It's like that boy is straight out of a '90s R&B video.
I mean, he listens to
He listens to the old school '80s R&B.
he
Yes,
listens to Patti
very old school.
LaBelle, like
I mean, every time
so.
I see you, I feel like they should play "Baby Grooving."
Yeah.
I just feel like there should be a Guy soundtrack everywhere he goes. Um, but anyway, the game was good. But yes, that last minute and a half, even though the defense did their what they're supposed to do, I just felt like it almost felt like what happened in the last Commanders meeting, where the defense kind of I think, got tired basically, and that's what
Hmm.
led to that last final score, which took the lead. So, and how ironic was the last person who scored was OZ,
Yeah, right.
Zacchaeus. Was it Zacchaeus or Crowder? One of them was the last guys that had the ball before they kicked the extra field goal or whatever. But either way, the point was that wasn't supposed to happen. Like that was one of those like everybody got off their for some reason everybody just got off their guard and it cost the game because I think they thought they had it. Like at that point it was 33-28. Everybody thought, all right, we just got to play this out. They really should have never got the ball back. And
Hmm.
technically, had Smitty not dropped that damn first down, they probably would have just had the ball and knelt and ended it. But that ain't happening this weekend because the stakes are higher. We know now that they have to play all four quarters. The thing that is different about the conference game, even when you go back to thinking about, shout out to Nick Foles, who's going to be the captain for this
So
weekend,
he's
which
gonna be the captain for this game.
makes perfect sense because it was just his birthday the other day. On top of the fact that he won us the conference championship against the Vikings, so this is a perfect opportunity for the Eagles to kind of make their own history, but yet kind of repeat history, if that makes any
Hmm.
sense. And I just think it is just one of those games that little mistakes, like any playoff game, are going to be magnified if you let them mess with your head. So,
Yeah.
but what
You
do you
know,
feel
and
about like this time of year?
I mean, I think we're gonna. No, I don't think we're gonna run away with the game, but I think we're gonna win because we don't make a lot of those errors that a lot of teams make, and the fact that Washington capitalizes on a lot of errors from other teams, like, but we don't make those mistakes.
Right.
We protect the football. We like they don't make a lot of when tackling. They don't give up the big play that much. Like so those errors a lot of other teams make, then you're not going to see a 60-yard run by Robinson, their running back, or breakaway like but Scary Terry's going to get like a crazy thing. No, it's not going to happen. Like, well, they'll get. I mean, I think the score is going to be close, but I don't think it's going to be that close. I
Let's
think
just
we'll.
be realistic. All these matchups have been close, so it's not going to be no
Yeah.
runaway unless for some reason
Wouldn't
Commanders
it be? Yeah,
crap the
it'd be
bed.
hilarious if we just run away with it though. Like
Yeah,
it'd
if
be
it
like
ends up being like a 38-7, like we did with the Cowboys, then
like how
I'd
the
be like,
Vikings was like that Vikings game. And remember,
right.
Vikings scored the opening touchdown. After that,
And that was it. That was
that was
curtain.
it.
So things can happen, but I'm like you. I'm like, I'm not dumb enough to sit here and expect them to run away with anything. They have to work for every yard that they gain. But the difference is a matter of how they close it. Because even when if they start rough, I'm not worried. I actually prefer them to suck early and then come back with a vengeance. Because if they start early, I feel like that's when they have a tendency to lose.
Slow down.
Yeah, they lose momentum like in the fourth, and that's when I can start going, oh God, they're starting to get tired. Defense is
I
getting
want
worn
I want them to come out. I want them to come out with that chip on their shoulder though.
out too. I want them to actually even start throwing just to get that feeling of the passing game back.
Just like they did last week. They did that last week too. I mean, the
Yeah,
first couple plays were all passes. I mean,
yeah. Goddard got the first touch in this last game, so my whole thing is just keep throwing and then unleash Saquon at the most chill, quiet moments, and then just score and then keep scoring.
he's
Lord
our
have mercy on Jake Elliott's foot
he's our
because
closer. Let our closer take over.
yeah, he's a closer. I mean, we usually unwrap the worst of him. Obviously, happens in the second, but I'm just praying over
Mhm.
Jake Elliott because Jake Elliott sometimes is the reason why we could have won by more. So I'd
Somebody
rather,
somebody said you need to back his extra points up a little bit because he's
or
because
he
he's
just needs to
making
slow down. He just needs to slow down.
he's making like the 40-yard ones, but
Right.
he's missing anything like close and like on the back. I was like, yeah, back his stuff up. Like if somebody said take a penalty, so back him up a little bit. I was I mean, it kind of makes sense though too.
Well, you know what I thought about because I think they said I don't know if I doubt if the coach said it, but somebody had said that they think he might have been rushing a lot of the times that he's been missing too.
Mm,
Because, like you
yeah,
said, there's no reason for him to miss no 28 yarder or anything like that. It's right there.
I
But
mean, knock on wood. Honestly, he hasn't missed a field goal in the playoffs yet.
no. And but then one of the random
He
podcasts,
may have missed an extra point, but he hasn't missed a
right?
field goal in the playoffs yet.
One of those random podcasts that I keep seeing come up every now and then, they said the stat was that Eagles usually win playoff games when Elliott misses at least one kick. And I'm like, well, that's going to happen. Let's just, we already know at this point he's missed one each game and they still won. So that
That
to me
one was
doesn't
weird
feel like
too.
even like a useful stat. That's just like, that's just what's been happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We just don't need him to miss two.
Hmm.
Two can be costly because that's 6 points. So I would
Yeah.
rather you miss one, just get them little creepies out the way and then bang the
Yeah, I'd
rest of
rather
them.
miss an extra point than miss a field goal. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, you're right.
But
Because when I said yeah, I was wrong. Not extra point, but yeah. I was thinking about the 3 pointers because I'm like the ones you need to make up for the fact that the offense wasn't moving. You miss those, we can't afford that. They can't afford that.
I think they're going to be able to move the ball because I think the Commanders are going to be worried about Saquon so much
Yeah.
that they're going to be stacking 8 guys in a box, and once they do that, that's going to open up AJ and Smitty.
Which
So
is what they need. So either way it helps because even if you don't you don't lock up Saquon and he takes off, but then you lock up
mhm.
the passers, but they don't get the ball that much anyway. So what does it matter? Either side works for
Yeah.
Jalen for Hurts
Oh, and
because
if he
he's
gets
learned to
past
deal
he
with without.
and once he gets to the second level, if you're stacking 8 in the box and he gets to the second level, he it's all green out there. There's nothing to stop him. He's
I
looking at
think it's
he's
the
all real estate. There's all real estate out there in front of him. So that's
well, you
it.
also have to count for the fact that, like they say, don't you feel like they wear um they wear them down after a while, like teams, because even when he doesn't hit pay dirt right away, they keep if they keep
Yeah,
running,
just keep hitting it.
keep hitting it, and
You,
eventually they just start breaking up naturally, and then he finds his lane. And
mhm.
usually two big runs is usually all they need. So if he gets more big one big run, then the Commanders are not doing their job. I'd like to see AJ get a touchdown just because I kind of miss that connection.
Mhm.
Smitty as well because Smitty was
I mean,
cheating every deep
he had a
pass last week.
touchdown last week. He dropped it, but
Right, and Smitty had a chance to bring in a deep one and got almost killed. So,
yeah.
I
Oh
feel like
God,
they've both been gypped of like their normal deep impressive downs. I mean, granted, I'm fine with AJ being on the slant too because his knee ain't helping him either. But he's
mhm.
been able to move at least within the slant, and that's fine. I would like them also somehow to creep in Dotson just to be like a third option because I feel like there's probably going to be some more drama with Lattimore versus AJ because they had some drama last matchup that eventually got us to the end zone by flags, but that might be an interesting battle. And for some reason, Lattimore has a good day and outmans AJ, which I don't think will happen, but anything can happen on a bad
But if
on
he
one of
takes
those
away
drives.
AJ,
You
you
still
got
got
other
Smitty.
options. So
You got
and
Smitty, but
we still got Goddard. Like
true.
so. I mean, I'm not worried about them taking away any player because I mean, pound for pound. Player. I'm sorry, pound for pound, player for player. You know, you like if I go down a list and say who am I going to pick versus like who on the Commanders, I'm always like most of the 9 times out of 10, I'm picking an Eagle because we have better players like in general.
We
So
do. And look, I'm also not naive to think that, Scary Terry ain't gonna get his.
I'll
Um,
get something. Yeah.
Robinson's going to get his yardage, but we're not even worried about how much yardage they accumulate because the reality of the situation is, like we said before, all you need is to give Saquon loose once, and that'll make up for
Hmm.
anything they lost for most of that game because he's going to go off. But I just would like to see. I would like to see just, it's a personal. wish is just to shut up the people who kept saying the passing game is whack to see, Hurts throw a deep ball and get a touchdown just to shut everybody up. Because I'm like, y'all seem to have forgotten the whole season. Like, y'all act
that
like
he
nothing
could.
happened in Brazil, like nothing happened against the
Yeah,
Cowboys, like
like he's not capable of it.
he's not
Like
capable, or just because his knee, that's an excuse to why the passing game's bad. They had passing issues before his knee, and then honestly, that stuff didn't start until what, week 14 or something. Like they didn't really start having passing issues until the
yeah.
last like couple weeks. So
All right.
it
So
was never
I think
issues
he'll,
before.
we're saying let's say two TDs in the air for from Jalen,
Yeah,
and
I'm
I
fine
say
with
one on
two.
the ground and one on the ground from him.
I hope that Goddard gets in the end zone, and if not, I hope AJ and Saquon runs one in. Um, and Hurts, most likely Hurts will find a way to bulldoze
Go.
his way to the end zone.
He'll
So he ain't worried about his knee when he has to get in there.
nah, he'll
So
get
he'll
he'll
get
get it.
his. But yeah, you're right. I do feel like two TDs are reasonable, and something dumb will happen in the fourth that might accidentally give us the ball for some stupid reason, and then it's curtains. Like there'll be a fumble, it may be a
Slay's gonna get an
deflection, a
interception.
slip,
Slay's gonna get an
deflection that
interception.
ends up in our favor. I would like to see Cooper get a pick six, but I'd rather, now
Mm.
that Quinion's got one, I don't even care who it is. Slay's been going off, so who knows? Slay may get the pick six. I
I
have
think
no idea.
Blankenship is due for
Blankenship needs to get one.
a
Yeah, he
game
almost had
sealing
one.
interception. Because how
He
many
almost had
he's
one.
had
He
like
dropped it.
he had so many to close the game out like all the
He
time.
did. I don't blame
So
last week's because it was snowing when he had that
oh,
opportunity.
he
So
almost yeah,
he
it was
almost
like
had it,
right
but it's
there.
snowy and he wouldn't have been able to get the grip. So I don't even blame that on him. I mean, the snow came, of course, at the perfect time, at the most important time of the game, the second half. So considering how it was before, how easy it was before the snow came, and then how difficult it became in the middle, I'm just happy that they brought out a win because that could have went any way by that point.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see the quote that Sweat said about how like he goes, "I knew that Card at some point was going to kill the right guard."
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. I heard him say that. So he's yeah,
Sweaty had the
he was
best
giving him some work.
audio
So
clips. He had the best sound bites from the end of the game. Like he couldn't have been more raw. I don't think I've ever heard Sweat go off like that. Like he just had the jokes for the whole post game presser. He had people cracking up. And then he was talking about, he was like, he goes, I'd rather take that shitty field in Brazil to deal with this shit in my cleats. And I said to myself, I said,
yeah,
they were sliding in Brazil. So for him to say the snow was worse, I was like, oh boy.
I got to check out the mic'd up though from the
Back
game.
up the mic'd up. And for
I'll
those of
probably look
y'all
at
who are
it
watching,
when we get
yeah,
off.
I highly recommend it for even our viewers because it's just one of those moments that you don't really need much dialogue. You just need to see how, first of all, shout out to NFL Films or whoever films it because it's the most dramatic, brilliant piece of NFL films that you can watch for a game that had so many high stakes. So I can imagine how this weekend's going to be without the snow. So, all right.
Yeah.
So straight up, I thought they were going to be dramatic and wear the black jerseys, but they're not. They're doing the midnight green again. So whatever.
Yeah, they
We've
tend
been
not to pull
spoiled.
out. They tend not to pull out the black ones for the playoffs, though. Most teams don't. I mean, not all the time. They really don't do that.
I know. I was just kind of hoping they would switch it up because we've been spoiled with obviously home advantage for the whole playoffs, but I just thought
Hey,
maybe they get tired.
remember what I said during the West game? I was like, yeah, I was like, we can get home field as long as somebody beats Detroit, and I was
Yeah.
happy about
And
it.
who'd have thought that shit was gonna happen? Like realistic. I mean, Detroit just folded, but and bad too, because it was just like when the Eagles played the Commanders and they turned it over 5 times. Why would you think the Eagles were gonna lose when they turned the ball over 5 times?
Yeah.
So for Detroit to actually lose, turning the ball off 5 times is even worse. But before we go too, I just want to mention how weird is it that I sent it to your friend James because I was like, Pete Carroll is going to be coaching the Raiders. I just wonder how James feels. I feel like he's like mixed, probably doesn't want to talk about it.
Yeah,
Because I
he
was
probably
like,
doesn't.
the Raiders? Pete Carroll?
Yeah, he probably doesn't want to talk about it.
No, he probably doesn't want to talk about it. Because I saw it and I just kind of went like, oh, that's as good as it gets. Meanwhile, Aaron Glenn, everyone pretty much from Detroit's coordinator tree left and got a job. Aaron Glenn is going to be coaching the Jets. God help the black man in New York. And then
So the
apparently
Vabral's taking over.
Vrabel went to the Patriots, which was so predictable, which makes me feel even worse for the guy before because I feel like they set him up to fail. Anyway, and then also that Josh guy is going to be under him. So I'm like, oh, y'all just gonna keep a Patriot family, huh? Y'all just look real.
That's what they're doing. Yeah,
It's gross. Anyway, Aaron Glenn in New
you like
Jersey.
it's gross.
It's gross. It's just so predictable. And I think even the podcaster Greg from NFL Daily, and he's a big Patriots fan, and he is so not a fan of it. He's like, can we just switch it up? Like he's like, why are we sticking to the same thing? Whatever.
Yeah.
The coach for the Jaguars turned out to be the guy that was going to stay in Tampa Bay, but then they ended up firing their GM last minute, so then he took the job anyway. So now Liam Cohen is going to be coaching at the Jaguars now because the Trent Baalke guy, who apparently everybody hates, they finally decided to fire him because he wasn't going to leave. So I thought that was dramatic in general because I'm like, not that you expected much from the Jaguars, but the once they fired Dougie, I was like, who knows where the hell they gonna go. But the fact that they got the guy from the Buccaneers is probably kind of saying a little bit, but we'll
Mm-hmm.
see. I mean, at this point, I just feel bad for their organization in general. There are just some teams I feel like should just be sold. Like I just don't see the point of the Jaguars existing anymore. But I say the same thing about the Panthers. But then look at Bryce Young; he's starting to get some confidence. So who knows? Um, and lastly, what was the other thing I wanted to bring up? Uh, do we want the Sixers to be sold?
Oh, because of the guy from Washington.
Not even just that, but Embiid's never going to play again. Like, I just feel like at this point, I don't care how many times a foot, a knee, he's never going to play the way he wants to play consistently. So at this point, what are we doing? That team has been losing games
Honestly,
by
I don't
like
know,
barely
and
10
I don't even
points.
want to.
I know
I
we
don't
don't.
know
I'm
right
just
now.
saving it for like, is it the reality? Like, if obviously Embiid's not going to retire, although personally I think he should. I just feel like it's just curtains. Like, can we just stop? Can we just stop? Then they ended up moving the arena back to South Philly where it should have been anyway because it didn't belong in Chinatown. Like, don't get me started. I think that whole conversation was ridiculous. But
Well, I do hope
what are
that
we doing?
I do hope that they get what they were talking about, as far as like a WNBA team. It should happen. I would like to see that happen for Philly.
I just feel like that's not probably going to happen like 2028, maybe at the
Yeah,
most.
I mean, but the thing is, we're a major city. We should have one
I
already.
agree, but I have a feeling that these bureaus and corporations have something against putting business in Philly for some reason. I think they just don't like the way we do
The
business.
thing is, but they'd make money because the fan base here,
I
like
agree.
people, you know, they go out to see their team. So
Especially now that the WNBA does have other teams coming. Like Valkyries is going to be the new team from the Bay. And then next year it's somebody else. I think they got Portland or somebody. But the point is there is a market, but what's wrong with
mhm.
Philly? I feel like Philly is more realistic for a WNBA team as well. I don't know. But the point I bring
Yeah,
that up is just because your question mark is, are the Sixers worth selling? Because I just feel like it's not going to change. I feel bad for Maxi. I think he's starting to play down because he's not motivated, which I wouldn't be. It's just kind of depressing. Like the games that I have watched, I'm always betting against them and winning money. Just
I'm sorry.
anyway. I hate to be a hater, but look, I'm unemployed. I need any kind of boost of money possible. So thank you, Sixers, for sucking. Easy to bet against you. Sorry, but yeah. And other than that, after this is gone and the football's gone, and I have to deal with my reality of life, we're talking pitchers and catchers.
Oh yeah, I can't. My favorite time of year is coming up. My
Yeah,
second favorite time of year for me.
second favorite time because Lord
Yeah.
knows if somebody blesses me and I go to New Orleans, that would be the best vacation of 2025 because I ain't paying for shit. But here's to getting one game at a time. So let's just concentrate on this game. I'm expecting like a 31-28 Eagles win. Um, what are you feeling? If you could spit out a score real quickly.
Packers score. I think it's gonna be close. See, at first on mine, I was like 20-27, right?
That's not
And
really
but
that's not
also,
bad.
also I was thinking, I was like, well, I think Eagles can score a little more now. It could be 34 to 20, to 20. But I don't know. Who knows? Like, or maybe even lower score than that for both teams.
Yeah. I mean maybe the
Yeah.
defense will show up and it just be like barely 20. Like maybe to be like,
Hey, I
And
don't care. As long as we're on the winning side
14
of that score, I don't care what the score is.
is basically all that matters. But
Yeah.
all right, so Birds of a Feather, we'll be talking next week, of course. I expect to be highly buzzed while watching this
I
game.
may not have a voice
We
by
may not have a voice. Of course, if I feel motivated to even want to talk the day after, I might wait till we get our voices back and my sanity back. And yeah, we'll talk then. So, Birds of a Feather, thank you for joining us. AJ the Suburban Princess, my boy, Eddie B.
Eddie B.
And
I'll
we'll
see
be
you.
out. So let's hunt. Fly, Eagles, fly.
Let's hunt.
Bye. Enjoy.